puppy raisers teach them the first 30 to 40 roughly commands, and then they go off to advanced training where they'll specialize to be a service dog, a hearing dog, skilled companion, or a facility dog. And each of those specialties, if you call them that, have their own additional commands, but puppy raisers only teach them the basics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So later they could go on to like open doors, turn on lights, like
Help with laundry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they learn to do laundry. It's pretty adorable.
That's very cool. Now, you always hear with service dogs that they're working.
Yeah.
What kind of things should just the public know about these guys when they see them out and about?
So, I mean, as a puppy sitter, I often get a lot of people that want to, as much as the puppy raisers do, people that want to pet them. And which is fine, it's great, like, the puppies love it, we love seeing that the public loves them. Yeah.
Where we talk about video games, comic books, anime, and more. I'm Andy.
And I'm Reagan. Let's get into the news.
In esports news, Counter-Strike Global Offensive professional team SK Gaming is losing one of their pivotal players. Taco announced on Twitter that he would be leaving the team. He has been on the team since mid-2016 and has been top of the game in almost every tournament. Taco stated on Twitter, "A few weeks ago, I noticed I wasn't happy anymore. A few days ago, I decided to look for that same happiness I used to feel before playing, and I wasn't feeling that anymore. Even though it cost me the decision of leaving the team I helped succeed and turn into one of the best teams to play the game." He later tweeted, not giving too much about his future, but we surely hope the best for him. He was a really big deal for their team, so I'm hoping for him in the future.
THQ Nordic has hit another milestone in bringing back the company. Last week, shortly after our show, the company announced a partnership with Nickelodeon to bring back some classic Nick games. Before the company went to defunct in 2013, THQ had been known for putting out several licensed games based off various movies and TV shows. THQ Nordic teased fans with a list of Nickelodeon IPs that will be coming back, including SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly OddParents, Jimmy Neutron, Rugrats, and strangely enough, Invader Zim.
Very excited.
That being said, it seems likely that we'll be seeing the return of Nickelodeon's Nicktoons Unite, Attack of the Toybots, Battle for Bikini Bottom, and many, many more ports or remasters. You can check out the full list on THQ Nordic's website.
A quick little blurb, Far Cry 5 just released Monday night, March 26th. I pre-ordered the game, and so far I've been very, very happy with what I've experienced within the game. So I would recommend you guys getting the game and playing it now. No spoilers though, but the AI can be a little iffy.
Nintendo has finally come out with their plans for E3 2018. Sort of. Nintendo has announced they will be hosting 2 tournaments this year. Splatoon 2 will have its first tournament called the Inkling Open 2018, and it will allow any Splatoon 2 players to compete. You have until April 21st to register. Additionally, a second Smash Bros. Invitational tournament will occur, where the public will be shown the newest Smash Bros. Game for the first time since its announcement. As for conferences, Nintendo hasn't shared any details, but past E3 conferences tell us they'll release a direct, chock full of content.
Of course.
More details can be found and will be updated on the official Nintendo E3 2018 website, e3.nintendo.com.
e3.nintendo.com.
Yep.
Fortnite seems to be never out of the news, but the game has broken yet another record. YouTube has come out saying that Fortnite has broken the record for the most videos uploaded of the game in a single month. It also broke YouTube's record for the biggest single live gaming stream for a battle royale tournament that was hosted by a bunch of YouTubers, with over 42 million views and 1.1 million concurrent views. That's amazing and good for YouTube. So it truly seems that Fortnite is killing it on Twitch and YouTube. So good on Epic Games.
Yeah. For those of you who have been looking forward to the upcoming System Shock remaster, we're sorry to say that you'll have to wait a little longer. Back in February, developer Night Dive Studios had announced that the project was being put on hiatus. During DDC last week, director Larry Cooperman had told PC Gamer that the game wasn't going in the right direction, stating that the new target release is sometime in Q1 of 2020. Yeah. The original release window was for 2018, but no date had been solidified before this announcement. While many could understand the dilemma of staying true to the original game, this is a wide window for the game to release. The remaster is planned for a console release, and there's no telling where PlayStation and Xbox might be in 2 years from now. Hopefully, we'll be able to get our hands on the new System Shock before hardware developers start talking about next gen.
We can only hope for the best.
Yeah.
In Xbox and Microsoft news, it seems players now have to be more cautious. An update of Microsoft Terms of Services will be releasing in May, affecting many services like Xbox Live and Skype. The issue, well, accounts can be suspended or banned for offensive language, as well as fraudulent activity, so gamers are a little worried their accounts will be banned for cursing in-game. Now, what does Microsoft mean specifically by offensive language? It seems a lot of the language used within the new update seems to be vague and broad, and it's something we won't really know about until the update is out on May 1st. So we gotta wait and see.
Right. And quirky TV news, if some of you still watch Family Guy, this Sunday they will be releasing an episode with a hint of World of Warcraft. As someone who loves WoW, the shocking news to hear, honestly. This will be a legit episode, and the official Twitter account for the show confirmed it with an image of Stewie and Peter as Horde and Alliance characters. The episode is titled Veteran Guy, and we can only wait to see what the full episode will be about. I'm hoping they do what they did with Star Wars and make a whole episode series about WoW.
That would be sick. I would give a lot of respect for Family Guy with that.
Totally on it.
So that's all we have for the news this week. But stay tuned for Matt's comic section, so stick around.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not fun. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though. I want them to see the whole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out. By sports reporters and Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting
the field.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Expansion Pack's Comic News. I'm Matthew Salavaria. Let's get started. Our first story today begins with the return to the historical Hall of Justice. With the end of the DC comic event Metal, it has been announced the League will be leaving the Watchtower space station and returning to the Hall of Justice. The hall hasn't been in use or really seen since the days before the New 52 back in 2011. Longtime DC writer Scott Snyder told the crowd at WonderCon that the team will be returning to the hall complete with mystical portals. This return will begin with the relaunch of Justice League coming this June. This relaunch of Justice League will not only mark the return of the League to the hall, but the formation of two new Justice teams in the form of Justice League Dark and Odyssey. These teams will be tasked in missions normally outside the league's specialties. Justice League Dark will be tackling on villains specialized in the mystical, while Odyssey will be facing intergalactic threats. Dark will be made up of Wonder Woman, Zatanna, Swamp Thing, Man-Bat, and Detective Chimp, while Odyssey will have Starfire, Cyborg, Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern, Ezreal, and for some reason, the longtime Justice League villain, Darkseid. Both Dark and Odyssey will launch this June. Now for you Harley Quinn and Old Man Logan fans, your oddly specific dream is coming true in the form of Old Lady Harley. Yes, you heard that right. DC will be debuting this Old Man Logan riff version of Harley in Harley Quinn issue 42. Very little is known about this Harley outside of her look, but it seems like we'll be seeing more of her outside this issue. We'll keep you posted with any new information, but you can pick up this issue April 18th. And now to our weekly recommendation. With this possible good version of Darkseid joining Odyssey team, it would be good for us to go back and find out what led to this rebirth. For that, we need to go back to the final event of the New 52, Darkseid War. The event shows Darkseid preparing for an invasion of Earth for the first time since the beginning of the New 52, but he wasn't the only one that was preparing for a trip to Earth. The only other villain that can be seen as more of a threat is coming, the Anti-Monitor. Grail, the daughter of Darkseid, has been recruited by rogue Amazons and sent into the multiverse to find the Anti-Monitor, knowing he would be the only one that could fight Darkseid and win. These rogue Amazons thought nothing about the casualties that this battle would bring to Earth. The story ends with Darkseid being reborn and raised by Grail, and now kinda good. This rebirth and his sped up aging is what led to him being fully grown and teamed up with the Justice League for this new Odyssey comic. I really recommend reading this story before jumping into Odyssey. Now to our pull list for today. We've got Green Lanterns issue 42, Batman issue 43, Justice League issue 41, Nightwing issue 41, Miss Marvel issue 48, Spider-Gwen issue 30, and The Mighty Thor issue 705. That's all we have time for this comic news. Make sure to tune in for our discussion on game developers thinking of unionizing. Stay tuned.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not fun. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though, I want them to see the hole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out! By sports reporters and Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting.
Field!
the expansion pack. Now, this is our discussion segment where we kind of talk about a topic within the realms that we talk about on the show. And today we are talking about unionizing in game developers. Excuse me. First, I want to introduce everyone here. As you all know, Reagan. As you all know, Matt. And I guess you guys should know Ty by now, but
Hi.
Ty's here.
I'm the Watch Mojo dork.
We've also
And we have Plank.
Hi, boss.
And we have Plank. But today is kind of a more serious topic because it affects people's livelihood in a lot of it. Game developers have come out recently, a lot of game developers have come out recently wanting to unionize. There has been a lot of issues, and we've talked about it even with before about voice actors.
Right.
Where we talked about it with voice actors and how they'd be working long hours and even would
No
be
breaks.
like no breaks, and it would affect their voices. It would be a mess a lot of times. But now we're dealing with it on the developer side. And as people who play games, we all know how hard developing a video game can be.
Definitely.
And a lot of work it goes into in hours.
I interned for a game development
Exactly.
company,
So you see it probably firsthand.
Do.
And a lot of times there's this culture of crunch time. Getting the crunch time is always the most important, it seems. Overall, how do you guys feel about the unionizing thing?
If anything, I feel like it's a somewhat necessary thing because you hear all of these stories of developers getting stressed out, and it's usually to meet deadlines so that the publisher can put in more money into the project. And then you also have the people who end up getting, you hear these horror stories basically of game developments. There are people who go through divorces.
There's a lot of mental health issues within it.
Mental health issues. Like anytime I hear of stuff like this, I tend to think about I tend to think about like Masahiro Sakurai. He busts his butt every single.
He does. Masahiro Sakurai does bust his butt, definitely. When it comes to being a part of a game development team, I'm actually on the marketing side for internship, but I definitely see all the hard work that the developers do. And my company actually is a completely different system for most developers. They don't get paid until the game starts getting sold. So it's just like a side project.
So they don't have like the what is it called?
They don't have income before. They don't have a salary. They don't have income. They don't have any of that.
Because I know there's like always for a certain developer you get a set amount and then you get more after the game.
Commission. Definitely. So that's why there's publishing deadlines. But because there's no money going into it, it cuts down on costs and it makes sure that there's no pressure. Well, there's still pressure for deadlines because you want to get in there
to get a game out.
And get out and get paid. But like these games that we've been talking about, I feel like every week we get a new headline where someone's been pushing back a game.
Yeah,
and
we
all
just
these
had
people,
one this week.
And that drives up production costs. That drives up all of those things, so development costs, and in the end it makes the game less profitable, which hurts the development company altogether. So I can see why unionizing would be a good thing, especially for the people that want to continue to get paid, because
then you have like the problem of like this extra cost, because they have to have like these insane graphics and all this stuff. This extra cost comes in the form of us getting charged with microtransactions and things of that nature, and it just ends up becoming like bad. Like when us gamers, we're good with games like, you know, Mario and stuff, that Mario isn't 4K. We don't need that, but they think we need that 4K, that 8K, and all that stuff, which causes a lot of problems. And then you have developers just getting, or like you have like publishers getting angry at the developers and doing horrible things to them, like you have with Hideo Kojima, the horror stories there. Hideo Kojima is one of the top guys in the industry, and yet he got completely screwed over by Konami.
The thing that kind of brings up an interesting story that I came across before we did the show. While this whole idea of unionization wants us to think, oh, it's because the publishers are bad and stuff, one of the things we have to keep in mind when we're talking about this and thinking of how to form the union is that not all publishers are evil.
No,
There are a lot
not
of good
and
people
there's
there.
there are people who are bad within the world, and they will put that on others.
Yeah.
But then there's good people like your development company. It's an indie development company, and it still treats its people fairly.
And I feel like it's the unions are going to be there mostly for the larger companies that don't have that personable relationship with all of their developers.
Well, with unionization, I completely understand why they want to do unionization, but I always found that unionization is flawed.
It is.
And it actually doesn't feel like the best model to me to go by.
Well, unionizing isn't really a bad thing in a lot of
it's not a
cases,
bad
and it helps
thing.
out. And
It's
it
not
also can hurt in certain situations.
Yeah, it's
but
not a
this will
bad thing
help.
at all. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying there are better ways to get representation within your own company like that you work for. And that's when I would say go to the German model. The German model where basically like the workers have a place on the board of these companies. They have a place there. It's not just like
It's a republic.
yeah, essentially they have it like that with every company in Germany essentially.
Right.
So like, you know, when the Great Recession hit, like they were like, hey, guys, other workers, yeah, we're one of you workers. We know we work on the assembly lines with you, and we know that they're about to like potentially go under. So we need to work together, cut our hours a little, you know, so that way we don't lose our jobs or something, rather than having, you know, them think, you know, what's like they're making so much money and being distant away from the board of directors. They are part of that board of directors, you know, rather than doing this whole unionization thing where you still feel like away from that.
I can see that. However, I'm not sure that a lot of companies would go for that.
Oh yeah, not here in
So-
America, because
so-
they wouldn't do that here.
Well, it's a different mindset is what I'm saying. So the union is the better way to do it. However, the problems that I see with that is actually the marketplace is going to be harder to get into because you're going to have to be in a union. So as a developer coming into it, the indie companies are going to have to become a part of this union to be legal.
Yeah.
Essentially.
You'll see less indie companies.
So you'll see less indie companies. That's going to be the backlash, but it is going to help in the long run, I feel, because it is an over.
It's a job, and a lot of jobs out there, not just like with gaming, do have a union.
But it's also an oversaturated market right now. So it'll cut out some of the lesser companies that are just putting out games to put out games.
So maybe we won't see as many Steam. I was just about to say in Steam, you won't see as many as like how many they have nowadays.
I think last year
Too
they
many.
released like
We talked about
7,000
it.
games.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount.
And a lot of those are not quality games. So
It's a lot
I feel
of.
like
I did something for a school project, and
And I'm
I'm
gonna
now
put it
trying
out
to
there.
make money and get my tuition back.
no nonsense.
What's up? But in a more serious note, when it comes to this, with us entering the workforce, is this something that you guys are worried about? Is this something like, just in a job in general, like going into it and being like, almost abused in a way? Because a lot of this is like you're working over hours. We saw something in Japan where a woman she died from just overworking.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is Japan's kind of culture, and it's they're trying to cut back on it, but we also see it within like the voice actors and developers. Like they'll sleep at their desks and will be there. They won't have a social life, and to be human, you have to have a social life, it seems.
Right.
Is
They
this-
turn into robots.
Yeah, is this something that you guys worry within going into your fields? Or, because I know we're all not game developers, and I wish we had someone who wants to become a game developer on here with us. But I know that what I want to do, I worry about like the amount of time that I will be spending, because yeah, it's a job and that pays for my life, but that's not my life.
They need to cut cost ultimately. They need to stop worrying about like, oh, look, we animated every hair on the this character in the game. You know, when we don't care about that, we'll love something like Mario, like I said, that isn't 4K, that doesn't have insane development costs. The same thing with us if we were to go into movies. We don't need every movie to
be
Avatar.
Marvel.
Yeah, or to be Avatar or something. We don't need that. You know, there are plenty of movies that have low development costs that are amazing, you know, that aren't going to get pushed back constantly and everything, and then they still make a profit off of these games that would be $60. Well,
But so what I'm trying to get with my question here is like, are we worried about how we'll be affected?
I'm a little worried about it because I'm on the marketing side.
Yeah,
And
marketing
so-
is getting crazy recently.
Right. So he
And,
was
like,
saying,
PR.
costs are rising, so they need to cut costs. Well, if they're not going to do it in development, they're going to do it in marketing.
Yeah.
They're going to cut my paycheck. They're going to cut workers in marketing, thinking they don't need them. When really, like he
Without
said,
marketing, people aren't going to know
Right.
about your game.
right? Like he said, people would be happy with a lower quality system game.
I would be happy if you spend as much time as a game and produce a quality game.
Right.
Like you can spend 10 years, like Kingdom Hearts 3 is spending
Ugh.
more than 10 years, it seems. But I'm hoping that once I finally get to play it, that it's going to be a quality game, even
Right.
with how much of the delay. I'm fine with delays. It may cost money with the delays, but to me, I have the mindset of happy workers creates a happy environment, and happy environment creates a good quality product.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why Nintendo does so good with a lot of this stuff. I find they make games fun, and they don't focus on all that graphical stuff, and they make money off the game being $60. They don't need to throw in microtransactions and all this stuff to make their money back. All these developers, they throw in so much into
Well,
development.
technically, you could say Nintendo does have some forms of microtransactions
Yeah.
with Amiibo.
It does.
Well, yeah,
it's just playable microtransactions,
Yeah.
and you don't have to have
It's
them
not
to
in
win
the
the
game,
game.
yeah.
It's not a game-winning
Yeah,
microtransaction.
they make sure to tell their fans this is strictly optional. You don't.
Yeah,
need
like
to
I don't have any Amiibos.
They're toys.
and
I
you can
have-
still play the
I still
game
play
and
all my
win
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
without taking an absurd amount of time.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned with this whole thing, I want to do like games coverage in some way.
Yeah.
I technically do that right now, but either way. What I'm more concerned about comes from a player's perspective. 'Cause
Yes.
It's like, I see enough of these AAA games to where I'm like, there are many different design flaws in each and every one of them. And anytime I see a new AAA game coming out, it makes me think back to what Colin Moriarty of IGN and Kind of Funny formerly. He was talking about after the PS4 Pro got announced, why are we so caught up in giving the players more power? Let's give them more power. Let's make the games look prettier. But there's all these game design flaws that we still haven't figured out solutions to and whatnot.
Yeah.
And hopefully with the unionization, we can get better people in there.
You can
Stuff
get
like
better
that.
people, and I feel like, to me, you have to have more people. It seems like there's companies that are just getting rid of a bunch of developers, and
Skeleton crews.
yeah, and they're
Yeah.
just pushing this on the little groups that they have, and like, yeah, it's a small select few, but those small select few, you just like screw them mentally, and you screwed their like. You can even physically screw them just for them
Yeah.
being at the desk constantly doing something or like that. Like, you can develop things. I know just from gaming, I've developed wrist and elbow pains, and
Finger
that's
joints
yeah,
from
and
typing
that's
up
only
scripts.
that's only in like 2-hour sessions a day, whereas they are probably there for 16 hours a day.
Right.
Probably more if they're in crunch time.
Yeah, and they probably sleep underneath
There-
their, like how I said earlier. So I know there's like so there was a woman named Emma. She doesn't disclose her last name, and she's a leader of GameWorks Unite, a game developer rights advocacy group. She was afraid to give out her last name for the company she works for because of potential backlash. Like, why do we think speaking out about these things will get backlash? Like, to me, we're speaking out about it and saying how bad it is. Are we going to get backlash?
If
Like-
anything, I think it's because some people might be concerned that the unionization is going to increase game development costs, which means at some point or another, the big publishers are going to have to increase the cost of the games, and people seem happy with $60 at the moment, more or less. And nobody wants to see it rise to
80.
when games used to be crazy expensive, like $80 to $100 or whatever.
I'm willing to pay the 80.
That is, yeah, definitely a thing. Like, we might have to see game costs like rising more. So.
But that's all the time that we have for this week. It was a really good discussion. If you guys want to talk about it within the comments, please do. Follow us on social media. But stick tuned for next week, and we will see you soon. Bye, guys.
Like I hated a lot of the Batman v Superman ones because they revealed a lot. There definitely isn't much